It is an unusual time. I've used the phrase probably 100 times or more than I want to count. There's more change more rapidly than ever before.
Mm-hmm.
College athletics is always evolving, but there's just more change more rapidly than maybe ever before.
Right.
Welcome to Being the Change, the official podcast of James Madison University, brought to you by Madison Magazine. Each episode brings to you stories of how members of the JMU community combine intellect with action to live lives of purpose and meaning. That's Being the Change.
What's up, JMU? Andy Perrine here. Welcome to Being the Change. I'm here with the new athletic director, Matt Roan, who joined the university in April. Hey, Matt.
Andy, how are you? It's nice to join you on this, and I appreciate you guys inviting me on.
Well, we're so glad to have you. And Matt arrives at quite a momentous time in James Madison University athletics history. Just so that you know who Matt is, Matt's a Virginia native. He comes to us from Eastern Kentucky University, where he was AD. He also played football at Virginia Tech back in the aughts, and you were a tight end.
I was.
You're perfect tight end size.
I used to be. I'm a little bit bigger than a tight end now, so we got to work on that.
And I had a chance to catch up with you for a moment before our leadership meeting the other day, and you're moving your family to the area, and you've got 4 school-age kids. That's quite a trick to move 4 school-age kids.
I do, and I'm incredibly fortunate. So my wife, Mallory, she is the one that makes our family go, and I think at that point, Andy, I had told you that I was in the process of trying to move them, and I'm glad to report that since that time, I have moved them. So we closed on our house here in Rockingham County earlier in July, and all 6 of us are now under one roof. We're under one roof with a lot of boxes, but we're filtering through that slowly but surely. But yeah, I'm my best version when my family's here, so I'm excited to have them here.
And how old are your kids?
So I have 2 daughters that are 14 and 12, 2 sons that are 10 and 7. So a rising freshman, a rising 7th grader, a rising 5th grader, and a rising 2nd grader. So if we're not at a JMU game or on campus, we're somewhere with them.
Well, that's a lot of transition for those kids. I hope they're doing well.
They are incredibly resilient. I could not be more proud to be their dad, to watch them support me and my dreams and my aspirations, and to put a brave face on. I know below the surface there's probably emotion that's there and relationships that they'll miss, but to hear them even just last night talk about how glad they are to be in Virginia, to be excited about starting school and developing new relationships and friendships, I'm really, really proud to be their dad.
Well, to you being the Change listeners, you could probably already hear it in Matt's voice, but I got to tell you, this guy fits in at JMU like you wouldn't believe. At the Atlantic Union Bank Center press conference where you're introduced, you got up and spoke, and I swear I thought you were an alumnus. You fit into JMU so well. How do you feel about fitting in here?
I think it's an easy place to fit into, right? Because you want to be respectful of what makes a place so great, and I think a lot of what makes this place so great is just the quality of people, right? And having grown up in this state, I think I understand JMU. I understand what it is as an institution. I understand where it sits here in the heart of the Valley, and this is home, for me, and that's a tagline that I know other places will use, but this place, it's important to me. It matters to me, and to have the opportunity to represent it, to return to my roots, and to have the opportunity to your point earlier, this momentous kind of time in our history, but with still so much potential, and I think an upward trajectory to align my personal and professional interest. I just could not be more excited.
Well, I'm an alum from the early and mid 80s, and you probably know that we were doing pretty well in sports in the early 80s. Yeah. We met North Carolina in the NCAA basketball championship when Jordan and Worthy were on the team.
I've heard of those guys.
Yeah,
right?
Yeah, me too. We beat UVA in football in '82. We went to the College World Series, and Roger Clemens pitched against us. So there's a group of us who have tasted a lot of success in the past, and it keeps happening.
Yeah.
It just keeps happening, and it seems, even though we've gone through so many changes, especially this last year, it's a cultural thing as much as it is a talent thing.
No, I always think that, people win, right? And you want to recruit outstanding student athletes, and we have those here. You want to try to hire and retain the best coaches and support staff that you can, and we have done that. It's getting harder and harder to retain, but that's a story for another day. But when you talk about people too, I think you can't dismiss the notion of JMU Nation, right? People want to come and play in venues where there are, 30,000 people and there are packed crowds and incredible home environments. But beyond the people, I'm a firm believer that you win with people first, the tools that you give those people and the processes that you follow. And when you talk about the tools, success is not an accident. It doesn't happen, just because. It is the product of incredible alignment that's existed, whether it was Mr. Bourne, President King, President Alger, the board, so many people, just that alignment top to bottom of everybody pulling the rope in the same direction and making key decisions and aligning, priorities again, and making investments, whether it be facilities, the tools that we give the programs, how they operate, how they travel, how we feed them, how we dress them, how we do all those sorts of things. And so when all of those things can happen, success is a byproduct.
And we're in a time of some bit of uncertainty, given not only Mr. Bourne retiring and you coming on, but losing a couple coaches and finding a couple great new ones. What is your message to the entire program about this sort of uncertainty?
I'll speak to the people in that, and then kind of the uncertainty I think that we find ourselves in. But you had two outstanding head coaches and Mark Byington and Kurt Signetti. There's a reason that Indiana wanted them, and there's a reason that Vanderbilt wanted them, and they made the moves that they thought were the right decisions for their family, and you applaud them and you wish them well. But Mr. Bourne had an incredible track record, and I commend him for this. Is anytime you go through a search, you want to try to eliminate as many uncertainties as you possibly can. And when you look at his track record of hiring, he's hired coaches who have won championships at other places. And, I have admired Bob Chesney for a long time, being at EKU and playing FCS football, and before that at Nichols. I've known about Holy Cross, and watching him do what he did there when he was hired here back in December, I thought Bob Chesney's going to be an outstanding coach at JMU. I had a much closer viewpoint of Preston Spradlin, him being at Moorhead, obviously, again, being at EKU. An hour and a half is what separated our two campuses. We played against them a lot. He was a rival. I didn't like him. Now he's a friend, and we're really good friends. So when he was hired, I thought, again, Jeff Bourne has knocked it out of the park with that hire. And then obviously having the opportunity to join that, I think all three of us have a lot in common. Our career arcs, our backstories are not dissimilar. And I think, again, that speaks to JMU tends to hire for people who fit it and who, fit into the culture as opposed to trying to reinvent it. But college athletics is, when you talk about uncertainty, it is an unusual time. I've used the phrase probably 100 times or more than I want to count. There's more change more rapidly than ever before. Mm-hmm. College athletics is always evolving, but there's just more change more rapidly than maybe ever before. Right. And my message to our coaches is, we're going to continue to be creative and innovative and push the needle. And we do have that alignment and that support that gives me confidence that as we move forward. But there will be tough decisions that we'll have to make in order to continue to have the success that we've grown accustomed to. But I believe that we have the people here that can do just that.
Shane Metlin at the Daily News Record did a piece on you recently and said that, quoted you as saying that you wanted to continue with the Everything School. For those of our listeners who might not have noticed, but organically we were called the Everything School in social media during the football season when we started to have some real success in getting that national attention. And people were asking, is JMU just a football school? And the response that our fans said in the comments was, no, JMU's an everything school. And you said you wanted to continue that. What did you mean by that?
Well, I think there's two ways, or maybe two lenses that I look through with respect to that. And I think, one of those, as I've talked with Kevin Warner inside of our building, when we talk about our brand and our identity, we sponsor 18 programs. I want all 18 to have the opportunity to be as good as they possibly can. And so, again, right now we fully fund those programs with scholarships. We give them, again, the budgets and the tools that they need. They compete and are developing every single day in great facilities. And so I think we have taken a look at, we don't want to just be School X. We want to be an everything school, and I think that speaks to 18 programs, resourcing them in a way where we expect championships. And now, again, to the point of NCAA changes and national changes, does it make that a little bit more difficult? Sure.
Right.
Scholarship, roster limits, all those sorts of things are going up, and so it's more expensive to try to be an everything school. But the other lens that I will look through it with is beyond athletics, and you talk about JMU institutionally, right? Just the academic profile, the relationship that we have with the city of Harrisonburg and Rockingham County. When you go to downtown, when you see clubs and Greek life and all those sorts of things, there is something for everybody here. And so that, to me, speaks to everything school. That's a differentiator for us. When University of Tennessee wants to say they're the everything school, they're just speaking to athletics, I think. When the University of Texas says they are the everything school, they are just speaking to athletics, I think. For us, the everything school is athletics and so much more.
That's kind of how I took it when I saw it for the first time. And, our team was the one that put together the Everything School poster that went out toward the end of last year. And for those of you that didn't see the poster, there's pictures of every aspect of the life at James Madison University, not just athletics.
Right.
And so I'm in total agreement with you, Matt, that's what we're after.
Good. We're on the same page.
Yeah. And, speaking of all 18 sports, our winning record last year for all 18 programs was over 600. And that's the best in Virginia, isn't it?
It's right there. And, it's something I think that's something to celebrate, right? You got to be incredibly proud about that. If you 600 and you play Major League Baseball, they call you a Hall of Famer one day.
That's right.
So
that's right.
The law of averages says that you shouldn't be that high, but for us, the 18 that we have, everybody is doing well. I heard the phrase the other day that they weren't talking about us, but they were talking about another organization. They said, we don't really do anything great. We do everything good. We do everything good, and we do a lot great too. So it's exciting to be a part of.
Well, and I saw also that this spring semester, 2024, there was close to like 250, 260 of the student athletes were either on a dean's list or on the president's list for grades. That's got to matter.
Absolutely. And we were in an administrative team meeting this morning, and we're starting to talk about strategic planning and what does a 2-year goal setting look like. And when you go through those processes, you want to say, what are we doing well that we have to continue? What are we not doing well that we need to stop? And then obviously, what are the new things? And,
right.
As I asked the question just this morning of what do we do well that we must continue to do, it's this notion and this priority of athletics and academic success don't have to be exclusive. We embrace who we are, the rigor of this education, the reputation of this education in this place. We want to make sure that we're prioritizing both of those excellence pieces simultaneously.
And that kind of ties into the everything school idea.
It does.
One of the things also that I see as different from a lot of schools that are at our level of success is that the athletics program and the student athletes are over there somewhere. And really on our campus, the student athletes are part of campus.
I'm a firm believer in that, and I think we're all shaped by our experiences, our backgrounds, and maybe I have the advantage of believing in that notion because of the places that I've been, is the point that I was trying to make there. But again, I used that exact phrase, or this exact phrase this morning, is that when we talk about what do we do well that we have to continue doing, I want JMU Athletics to be a part of the institution, not apart from the institution.
Mm-hmm.
And we don't operate on an island, right? We build bridges. We exist. An investment on the part of the institution in athletics is an investment to advance the brand, to this notion of the front porch, but it's to shine a spotlight on the amazing faculty, the outstanding staff, but the teaching, the research, the learning that happens inside of our classrooms every single day. That's what an investment in athletics is an opportunity to shine a spotlight on that.
Well, my team is the one that manages, all of our digital marketing and all that, and we monitor what kind of activity there is going on. And during college game day, it was I think the number of searches on Google for JMU was up 1,000%. And so what it does is it brings eyeballs here, and then when they see what's here, it's like, oh my goodness, check this out.
Yeah, it's the opportunity to introduce them to what JMU is, and then once you introduce them to it, they're blown away with just how special of a place it actually is.
That's true. Well, I don't know if our listeners have heard the news, but recently Jen Phillips, who's JMU's Director for Student Athlete Development, was appointed to some really important councils with the NCAA as things are changing like crazy. And it seems to me that having Jen at that table or those tables is going to be really important.
No, it is. Jen was recently appointed to the NCAA's Division I Council. And again, when you talk about all the change as rapid as it's happened, you understand that a lot of that change happens right there in that group and in that room. And first and foremost, I'll say I think that speaks to Jen as a professional, her reputation, the way her colleagues and her peers view her. She doesn't just represent our institution, but she represents the Sun Belt Conference. And so she is it was decided that she would be the perfect representative for that, and I could not disagree, and I think she'll be great. And I think, again, that speaks to her abilities and her reputation. But we have the opportunity, her being in the room, to certainly know, where the conversation is going and understanding kind of where the tides or the sands are shifting. And, just having her, working alongside of us every single day, having, being a part of that national conversation, it makes the NCAA better because of the voice that she brings, but it certainly makes us better in the fact that we're in the know and, part of what's going on there.
Well, and we bring an everything school perspective to the conversation,
That's
which
right.
I think is important for the NCAA to include.
Yeah, and I think, exactly right. She expresses, our values and what's important to JMU while she's in that room, and what's important to JMU obviously has to be important to the conference as well, because that's the representation that she's offering and providing there. But she's going to be a great add to that group.
One of the things that's changed a lot over the years, and I graduated in the mid-'80s, is the fan experience has completely revolutionized what intercollegiate athletics mean at JMU. And I was very good friends with Jeff Bourne and know how much he was devoted to the fan experience. Tell us some of your philosophy on what kind of experience you want the fans to have going forward.
Yeah, I experience for me is a part of the natural life cycle of a fan, if you will. And the way I've kind of categorized it in my mind is we have a communications team, a sports information team, a creative content team, that their goal is to engage and to share information, right, to introduce, going back to that notion. Once you've engaged, I think that the next step is that experience, right? You bring people into your venues, and whether that's a season ticket holder, a single game holder, you want to make sure. I like to use, because we're on a college campus, I like to use the word experience more than entertainment. But the reality is that you're trying to entertain, you're trying to captivate for, in the case of a football game, 60 minutes of play time. But from there, you hope that experience piece turns into people wanting to invest, and a single game purchaser becoming a season ticket purchaser, and season ticket purchaser becoming somebody who leads in the Duke Club, and then from there, I think the byproduct again is winning. And so the life cycle would be engage, experience, invest, participate, and then win. Kind of 4 steps, and all 4 of those things are critically important. And as I've had the opportunity this summer to really learn, and I'm coming in at a great time where there are no games to attend, and so I get to ask the question of what are our traditions? What are the things that we do, day in, day out, game in, game out? How how can I help make it better, right? Is it an allocation of resources? Is it thinking of things a little bit differently? But Jeff Poglace, Melissa Wyant, Ty Phillips, the people who, program our games, Jake Longnecker. I mean, so many people who program our games, who think of ideas to keep our fans engaged, who make sure that our facilities look great, and who provide leadership. That's a focus for us, and it will be a focus for a long time to make sure that our fans feel appreciated, that we're always looking for ways to improve that.
Well, and those are names that not everybody might be familiar with, but those are folks that have been here a while, and there's some consistency there.
And those are incredibly talented people, and we're so fortunate to have all of them, and those are just a few names that I mentioned, but we have great student athletes, we have great coaches, but I'm incredibly fortunate to work with an outstanding staff every single day who I get to talk about JMU Athletics. It's the reason that you invited me on this podcast. But what I'm talking about is the amazing work that they do every day.
Yeah, it's wonderful to experience their great work.
Oh, yeah.
As a fan. Well, going into the fall, what is something that you want the fans to understand about your first season as AD?
That I get credit for all the wins and the losses go to somebody else. No, I'm just kidding. But for me, it's, and I hope that they have picked up on this, is I am the conduit to people's passion. When people speak and they come to our games and they voice their opinions, those are things that I'm always going to be receptive to, right? It's our fans this is their athletics department, this is their program, this is their university, and so I want to hear ways that we can make it better. But throughout all the change nationally, I hope that our fans will understand that every single day that we're working to make things better. We value their opinion. The more that we can be positive, the more that we can get each one of us to get one more person on board, right? There's incredible strength in numbers, and just that we're in this thing together, and as much as I want to accomplish great things, nobody has ever accomplished anything special and worthwhile by themselves. And so it takes our leadership team, it takes the institution, obviously the administrative team, our coaches, our staff, our student athletes, but it also takes our fan base as well, our alums, the people who pour into this place, who are so generous with their time and their resources. As great as we've been, I still believe that there's a lot of air above us, and together we can accomplish great things.
Well, that really aligns with our Being the Change theme of this podcast, Matt. Matt Roan, the new athletic director at JMU, thank you so much for joining us here at Being the Change.
I appreciate you having me. It's been a pleasure.
And we'll have you back, I hope.
I look forward to it.
All right, JMU. Listen, next time we'll be talking about something else related to Being the Change at JMU. If you have any ideas about wanting to be on the podcast, remember you can send it to beingthechange@jmu.edu, and we'll see you next time.
Thanks for listening. Tune in next time to hear another story of how members of the James Madison University community are being the change. Dive deeper and consume countless other stories at jmu.edu/Madison Magazine. Go Dukes!
The Being the Change podcast was conceived by Jim Heffernan, editor of Madison Magazine, and me, Andy Perrine, head of JMU Marketing. Thanks to Jenna Polk and the team at Rose Library Studios, where the show is recorded by Steve Adderton, the guy who also captures those amazing campus drone shots you see on Instagram. Original music and episode production by Neil Perrine. All of us involved in creating Being the Change are JMU alumni, and we bleed purple. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe.